Congratulations. Ho, ho, ho. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You have found the Marry Your Best Friend podcast. I'm John, and I'm sitting here next to my beautiful wife, Suzanne. And well, this is our Christmas episode. We're going to talk about Christmas, talk about traditions, talk about all the fun things that we did when we first got married and when we first knew each other. Suzanne, it's a little early, but Merry Christmas.
It's a little early.
It is indeed. But we can go ahead and celebrate today as we go through kind of a list of Christmas traditions. Christmas has always been very special for you and I.
I know. It's kind of been our very special holiday.
And if you are listening to us via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all these other services that are out there, Google, whatever, you're missing Suzanne's festive Christmas attire.
That's right.
She's wearing a kind of a leopard hat that says, I Willie.
Do you see?
It says, Willie love Christmas.
I Willie love Christmas because I love Willie too.
You love Willie Nelson?
I do.
Yes. Well, Willie's very popular right now.
All good Texans do.
All the Texans do love Willie, and I love Willie. But I don't really associate him with the birth of Christ.
Christmas shirt.
You do. Marion Bright is your Christmas shirt, and I am wearing my Christmas Hawaiian shirt.
I know. You're super cute in your Christmas shirt.
Very festive, and I'm wearing red Christmas sneakers.
You are.
I know, they were my dad's. Something I took out of his closet.
Do you know what I'm wearing right now? I'm wearing goat slippers.
You are wearing goat slippers? That's kind of your look. So let's talk about, we secretly used to make out a lot at Christmas.
I know. It was kind of like, I was coming home, from school. So
well, if you don't know our story, hold on. Let's get back to that. If you don't know our story, we met on spring break, and that was in March or so.
So I graduated.
And we lived in
after
different
that.
towns. So like I was going to college in Oklahoma, you lived in Texas, and then you were going to high school and there in Texas. When we first met, you said you had no interest in going out with me, so you shut me down right away.
You're a little bit of a smart ass.
Well, but you shut me down. I said, hey.
I had to up my assery.
The very first night we went out with Steve Thompson, we went to that dance club. I said, hey, is there any chance that you and you were like, no.
Down deep in my heart, I was like, yeah.
Well, then why did you dance with all those other boys at the club and not me?
Because you were full of yourself. You were a smart aleck.
I was a freshman in college, and I was exploring the broad horizons that God had in front of me.
If I'd have known then what I know now,
you'd marry me quicker.
I would have done a little more research, maybe.
Well, anyway, so we met in March, and then that first Christmas, so my sister lives in Dallas, and your family was in Fort Worth, or is Fort Worth based. Mm-hmm. I've always told people that you're related to half of Fort Worth. Either they're preachers or they're in jail. Because your father was one of like 15 kids.
13. He was number 13.
He was number 13. And your mother seems to have cousins across.
We're just related to everybody.
Yeah, you're related to everybody. But I remember going over to your house the first time on, I was visiting my sister. We were having Christmas at my sister's house because she had kids. And one rule in our family, and we're going to talk about this later, is my sister taught me this. Once you have kids, you don't have to leave. Like, people come to you.
I wholeheartely believe that. And we told everybody that from the get-go. You know where we will be, and you are totally welcome, but we're not going anywhere. And you know what? To this day, we don't go anywhere.
We don't.
I also learned this from your sister, is that we have Christmas dinner on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
And then we go to church and do candlelight service or whatever. When the kids were little, we did, the children's service because it was earlier. But then we come home, we have one Christmas Eve gift, and
the Christmas Eve gift is usually... I don't know.
Like everybody else's Christmas Eve gift.
Every Christmas, every family around the country, I think, opens one Christmas Eve gift. And kids are always trying to pick out which one they're getting, and it always ends up being...
When I wrap mine, they have a little CE at the top, so I know that's...
Christmas Eve gift?
Yeah, that's the one. That's
okay,
so clue.
Christmas Eve gift. I just said it.
Yes, but that's... After we do, but what I was going to say is after we have Christmas Eve and we do all that stuff, then Christmas morning when we get up, I have breakfast.
Yes.
And I've made that the night before.
That my sister also taught you.
I don't
The
know. I've been
sausage and
making this a
egg.
long time.
I think we got it from Ann because then she also did the jalapeno cheese grits.
Well,
Those are
I
my
started
favorites.
doing the cheese grits because you were relentless
Yes.
about me doing it. So I finally gave in. Anyway, and cinnamon rolls for the kids, which is what my mom always did. And then the rest of the day is just, you don't even have to get dressed. We don't go anywhere. I will maybe we always have ham on Christmas, and so I'll make those little Sammies. But that's pretty much it. You fend for yourself after breakfast. That's it.
You do. And what's fun is, I mean,
My day off.
and you do mimosas in the morning on Christmas
Yeah.
morning. We do mimosas. We have that sausage and egg casserole that we love, and cinnamon rolls, and my cheesy grits.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. I'm thinking about, like, it usually is a very relaxing day. We open the presents, and then we kind of have a relaxing day. I do remember one year, it was 2010. No, yeah, 2010.
Way to know the year.
No, because it was the 100th anniversary of the Boy Scouts of America. And
And it all comes back.
yeah, it was the 100th anniversary of the Boy Scouts of America. And so I gave both boys commemorative knives.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I gave them both commemorative knives. And they had, like, 100th anniversary of Boy Scouts. Whatnot.
They were in a tin.
Yeah, they were in a tin and had, like, plastic around. But anyway, we were sitting, had a wonderful Christmas morning.
Your mom and dad were here.
Yes, had a wonderful Christmas morning with all the food. The presents were great. And I'm sitting in the chair in that other room, and all of a sudden I saw Jay Daniel grabbing his finger going upstairs. And I could tell he had cut himself.
No, he was. Because
he went
was
upstairs.
upstairs. No, he did it upstairs, and he came downstairs and he got a towel and he wrapped around it, and then he came in
And I realized what was going on. I said, Jay Daniel, stop. And he was moving. And he said, I can't. I have to get a tourniquet. And I was like, son, stop. You're bleeding.
Such the good Boy Scout.
He was a Boy Scout. Not only did he cut his finger with the
the
brand
Boy
new
Scout knife.
he then was trying to do a tourniquet. Well, we ended up going to ER that day.
That's right. He got stitches on Christmas morning.
Yeah, from a wonderful knife that his father gave him. And thankfully
Yeah.
nobody called Child Protective Services because I gave my kid a knife when he was evidently too young
But
to
that
have
did
one.
not deter him from
did
doing Legos later in the
Okay,
day.
so roll back. We're moving too quickly here. So let's talk about Christmas Eve gift in your family.
Christmas Eve gift in my family is a tradition that is,
I mean, this
I
is
hate
from your
to say it,
grandmother?
but
I mean,
it is, it's gradually kind of drifting off. There's only a handful of us that still participate, but it is phenomenal. When I was a child, my mom's side of the family, you had to call them because this is before. I mean, it was landline. That was it. You had to
Yes.
call them, and it wasn't like you won a prize or anything. But you
But
would
this is
call
on
them and,
Christmas Eve. You call your
Yes.
family members.
like as early as possible on Christmas Eve morning because you wanted to be first, and say Christmas Eve gift, and you win. Like you would just win. You'd just be, gloat
You'd be
for
the
the
winner.
day because you were the winner. But my family was so competitive.
Oh my gosh, they're competitive.
That I mean, like, it was serious business. Like, people would set alarms, and my
your
nanny.
mother, your
oh my
niece,
gosh.
your cousin Dana, all of them.
Yeah. So there's just a handful of us left that do it. And I've tried to get my kids to do it, but because it's different, social media and cell phones and all that, it's not as. I don't know. They haven't really picked up on it. And it makes me a little bit sad that it might be, fizzling out. But we still do it.
Yeah, and I don't think your mom appreciated it. I've done it a couple times. One time I recorded my voicemail greeting Christmas Eve gift. She was upset by that because she was waiting to say something that already said Christmas Eve gift. And I think I called her at midnight one time. She's like, it's not midnight
We've
yet.
often done it at like soon as it's like 12
and
o'clock.
I was like, it's midnight on the East Coast. And she was like, Arr. So anyway, yeah. So your family does Christmas Eve gift.
Yeah, it's just kind of a gloating game, and it was always super
But
fun.
going back to the very first Christmas, so I was at my sister's house. This would be Christmas of 1985. You were now a
Circling
freshman
back.
in college. So we met each other. I came to your graduation. We talked during that summer. I came to your house during that summer, visited. We almost had our
Borrowed
first.
my car for a date.
I
you
did,
know,
yeah.
all those things. We talked about that on
I wonder
our.
where that girl is today. But anyway,
I'm sure I'll run into her at some point.
one morning you were leaving to go work at Bollinger Industries customer service. And I was in bed and I was leaving that day. And
That
we
was not
almost-
Christmas, was it?
No, this was the summer.
Oh,
We
yeah.
almost had our first Chris, but I had bad breath and didn't want to do anything. And you were kind of leaning in, kind of wanting it, and I didn't do anything. And then so I left.
Again,
So
ask
then you went to
Hillary.
college, got to know every man in the whole University of Evangel. But then at Christmas time,
I did have a good time.
I know, I showed up at your house at Christmas. And a couple of things. We'll get to the first kiss in a little bit. But,
Oh, are we going to talk about that? We're going to get all intimate and
well,
sweet.
it's like Christmas. I don't know if it's going to be sweet or not. You think it was sweet? On your mom's sofa?
It wasn't on my mom's sofa.
Where was it?
It was someplace we actually weren't supposed to be.
Yeah. Andre's room.
Yeah, guest bedroom.
Yeah, guest bedroom. First kiss, guest
Where
bedroom.
you were spending the night.
I was spending the night, even though we didn't really sleep that night. So anyway, what I was going to say is the first time I went to your house at Christmas, though, two things hit me. One, how many presents your family actually gives each other?
Hey, my mom would wrap batteries.
No, but
she
like
wrapped everything so that everybody. I mean, she wanted as many gifts under the tree. If it was something just minute and small, if it had multiple like things that you had to put together and it wasn't all in one box,
wrapped everything.
She wrapped it all.
All I remember was walking in. Two things hit me. I walked in your living room, and you had a flocked tree.
Yes,
I was not used to a flocked tree.
It was beautiful.
It was in Texas where it's 90.
It was the only snow we ever saw.
And it was sprayed on an evergreen
course.
tree.
But it was an artificial tree.
Oh, it was?
Oh,
It was a flocked artificial tree?
yes.
So that's even worse for the environment.
Well,
Petroleum tree. And
yes, but it was always told that I was the reason for the flocked artificial tree.
I remember our very first Christmas, we didn't have any money, but we had to go buy the flocked tree.
Yeah, because my whole life
said
I
you
was
were
told
allergic.
that I was allergic to the tree. If it was, I'm allergic to everything, and I am allergic to the tree.
Your mom's like that other mom. Remember that munchkin?
But it's really
syndrome
only if
lady
I
who-
touch it, then I break out in hives or whatever. And itch.
Remember that lady that said that her kid had all those symptoms when she actually didn't?
Oh,
And she said
Munchausen's.
she had cancer, and she
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she killed her mom. Or whatever.
She did. Yeah.
I would never do that.
I know you'd never kill
But
your
my
mom. Your
mom really
did say that you
say
had.
that I was allergic to it.
And
tree.
here's the great thing.
And it had to be flocked
Yeah, here's the
because
great
it would mask.
At some point, we're going to do an episode on medical treatments and how your family thinks a chiropractor is a real doctor. But you also went to the allergist.
hello?
You went to Dr. Chung, who was the allergist for everything.
No, well, yeah, I did later. I had a different allergist, but I was allergic to everything.
Okay,
as
so
a
you had a
kid.
flocked tree. So that was
Yeah.
one of the things. And then the other thing was just, I mean, the presents went all the way into the living room. There's so many of them. And I was like, wow, I get like one present from my parents at Christmas. And
That's a lie.
we had a couple of things. But the other thing I was amazed by
You
is
are
your
the
mom.
king of
I
exaggeration.
popped in to visit your house at Christmas or the day after Christmas, whatever it was.
You just popped in.
I popped in to visit, came across from Dallas, and you were in Fort Worth at your parents' house. And your mom goes, "Oh, I've got a Christmas gift for you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I didn't bring anything. How does she have a gift?" Well, she went to the back room, got a little gift, brought it out, and handed it to me.
She had
And
a
I
gift
was-
closet. A lot of
didn't
people
know.
have gift closets.
That's another thing I learned. I did not realize that Texas women just have extra gifts, just like wrapped
I don't think
up.
it's just Texas women. I think a lot of moms. I had a gift closet for a while, but now
No,
the
but like
kids are
she
bigger.
gave me this Neiman Marcus calendar book.
Yeah, a little
that I
leather
loved.
calendar.
It was a little leather calendar.
You loved it.
Oh my gosh, I loved it. And I
So she
ended up
bought
buying-
you one every year for like
but-
the next 10
But
years.
I thought I was so special until one day I walked into the
gift
in the
closet?
gift closet and saw that she had a stack of like 10 of those things and like a whole bunch. And she also had like the bark. What's that? She always gave people the.
Oh no, she ordered that. You had to be super special to get that. That was
The toffee with the
delicious.
chocolate on
toffee
top
with
of
the
the
chocolate.
nuts.
Yeah, and she also sent the famous fruitcake from Texas that had the great tin. Oh, so we're in Switzerland. Whenever it was October, and we went into an antique store, and I saw all these tins. Lo and behold, I see it. I know exactly
From the
what
Texas
it
Fruitcake
is.
Company?
And I like move them all out of the way, totally from Corpus Christi, the Texas fruitcake tin in Switzerland. And I kind of thought to myself, you know what? I bet my mom sent this to somebody, and they
some
took it
preacher
to
over in
took it to
Italy.
the antique place later in life. I don't know. It was
Yeah, it's probably because they passed. But anyway, so I remember the flock tree. I remember all the presents. I remember the wonderful gift that your mother gave me. And I just never knew how big Christmas was at your family.
Christmas was a big deal. Christmas Eve was a big deal. And when we were together, like
Once
really
we were
together, It was a big deal for me to go and spend Christmas Eve with your family versus spending Christmas Eve with my grandparents and cousins and stuff, because that was always a huge
And
deal.
when we first got married, we drove back to Texas.
Well, we didn't have kids then,
We
so
didn't
it was
have kids, so we
good.
always drove to Texas. We'd spend a little time with my family over at Ann's house, and then we'd go to your family and stay at your family's house or whatever.
You got to go where the kids are.
Yeah, and then your
more
family
fun.
used to have a Christmas Eve party at Nanny and Pa Daddy's house.
Yeah, every year it was
Huge party.
dinner, and then
A lot of people, a lot of screaming, a lot of loud noise.
very loud.
A lot of games. It was a little too loud for my taste, but it was a lot of fun. And
Everybody
gift
loves
exchange.
Jesus, but John Stewart.
Yeah, that family. But we had a great time at Nanny and Pa Daddy's and all your cousins and everything else. But that very first Christmas we were together. So I came over to your house on the 26th or so. And I think I came over before Christmas, got that little gift, and I came back on Christmas Day or whatever it was afterwards and spent the night at your house.
Yeah.
And I was coming over to stay with you and maneuvered you back to you always called it Andre's bedroom.
Yeah, it was the guest room because it was in the back wing of the house.
So that's where Andre Crouch always stayed. You
That
guys
was
called it Andre's room.
Yeah.
So I got to stay in Andre's room. But what was interesting about that evening was you guys had that incredible sofa. And I remember us sitting closely together on the sofa. The things were leading up to our first kiss.
Well, it'd only been like however many months. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been reeling you in.
So we have our first kiss. And we don't need to go into the yada yada, everything else that took place that evening. But I think your mom came and broke us up about 7 a.m. or right before your dad woke up and said, "Hey, you need to go to bed."
She actually, I mean, there was 4 years before we got married.
Yeah.
And we would always kind of hook up.
At Christmas time.
Yeah, and different times.
Yeah, you would have boyfriends. I'd maybe be dating somebody, but we always hooked up at Christmas. But what was funny was Christmas. So that very first Christmas, we had our first kiss. Then we go off to college, back to college, and you didn't call me for like 3 months. And I was really hurt by that, if you don't remember that.
Was that when I was a junior?
No, this was your freshman year.
My freshman
year?
year?
We kissed, and then we didn't talk for a while. You were mad, I was mad. Anyway, whatever happened. And then we would always kind of reconnect at Christmas. And then the second year, then the third year. Well, your junior year was when you had a boyfriend. Is that right?
I always had a boyfriend.
Yeah, but you always did have a boyfriend.
I had the one that
but
didn't
you had a boyfriend.
like anybody talking to me.
You had a boyfriend, and maybe it wasn't that year. It was 1 year. You said
I told my mom to call you and say I'm not allowed to talk to you anymore.
Yeah. All I remember is one Christmas we were kind of kissing and stuff, and I was really emotional about it. I think this is when I lived in LA, and I was coming back to see you, and I gave you a gift or something like that. Maybe it was the year before.
Oh no! You know what it was?
But you said I was literally we were kissing and stuff, and you said, "Look." And I told you how much I loved you, and you're like, "Look, this is too emotional for you. If you just want to kiss and make out, I'm totally down with that. But if you're like into it, you're like, oh, totally. You're like saying, but if this like means too much to you, then never mind.
I do not even remember that.
You're like,
you're such a girl with your emotions. Anyway,
I was in love. I knew you were the one that was supposed to marry me. And you had a boyfriend.
And yet, I can't go to a restaurant or another state and not run into someone that you had
become friends with. Never dated as long as you did. But the whole thing is, Christmas was always the time when we kind of connected. And
and our families were close. You know, like your mom and dad would come over to my parents' house. And, you know, remember that year that you came over? I think there's a picture of us, of you and me and your mom sitting on my bed in my bedroom, and you had given your mom that beautiful shawl, and you brought me. I still have it.
This was gorgeous. This was the Christmas I told you how much I loved you.
Oh, yeah, and you brought me the beautiful music box.
Yes, and it was like whatever the song was tied into the fact that I wanted to be with you forever. And shortly after that is when I
didn't trust you.
Well, shortly after that is when I heard from your mom, you need to leave her alone.
Well, I didn't trust you. You were a little.
I was in love.
That day, you were a little, you know, fickle.
Okay, so let's talk about the other thing I remember at your house. This is, of course, after my first Christmas with you when we were actually married and stuff. I had never been around a man like your father that on Christmas morning was as excited as the kids were to see them open the presents.
I don't know if excited is the word. I think it was surprise.
He didn't know what you were. And his famous thing was always like, "Let me see what I gave you." Because your
What did
mom
Santa Claus bring?
everything. Your mom brought everything.
And what happens in our house?
And what was so funny was your mom did everything. And then your dad, there'd be a running commentary. Christopher would open a present, and then you would hear this little side comment over here. I've already paid for that. Or that's on the Neiman's card. Like, she was giving him a running tally of where.
She knew it was coming later. She may as well just get it out of the way.
So she was just spitting it out as soon as they opened the present. Where
it was on sale.
Whether it's paid for, whether it's on sale, whether you did layaway.
Well, yeah.
But Big John
layaway.
Hall.
There was no layaway in my house.
Let me see what I got you.
Yeah, but let's just talk about Christmas at our house. Is it the same or different?
Oh, well, we're going to talk about how shopping has changed and how.
Yeah, but is it the same or different? Are you
I
kind of
helped
surprised?
you this year because I paid for the internet that allows you to do all the shopping.
But do you know what everyone's getting?
I am so on top of it. I looked at the receipts last night.
You did not.
I do think it's funny how Amazon has totally changed how everybody shops
Before
Christmas.
Amazon, it was the same, babe.
You're right.
I would try to show you everything because I thought that you would want to be abreast of what was happening. And that was not the breast that you wanted to be a part of.
Okay, so
it just didn't. Let's
talk about our traditions. I mean, we mentioned my sister earlier. She gave us the number one tradition that we love was once you have kids, you can stay home.
Yes.
And you say, we're having Christmas at our house. Now, I will commend my mom and dad because they became professional grandparents. They always tried to go to David's house for Christmas, Ann's house for Christmas, our house for Christmas.
Really, it was kind of like whoever had the youngest children.
They would go.
And I get that in such a big way. Mm-hmm. One time, Mom asked me, she said, you know, why? Because I wanted to go to Ann's house, Ann and Phil's house, because the kids were little and it was so much fun. And she said, you know, well, you don't want to come back to and we were all grown up. And there might have been, I think Jan maybe had Brittany and maybe Andrea was little and Brian were kind of little, but it was different. I don't know. The girls would put a little Christmas play on. Remember, they would always do that, and then write their letters to Santa and stuff like that.
So one of the funny things, I remember my brother's 11 years older than I am. My sister is 13 years older. So I was the younger uncle who got to play with the kids and stuff. So, you know, we would go, if my brother was living in Romania, we went to Romania for Christmas, or we went to Pakistan.
Yeah.
You know, all these different places. And their kids, even the Bahamas, when he lived in the Bahamas. So Christine and Virginia, and they would put on a play. We would go, I would usually be the camel or the goat or something like that, be crawling on the ground in their play. But loved watching them grow up. And then Anne had her 3 girls. We loved being around those girls. And
we just didn't have that many kids in our family.
And then when we first got married and we didn't have kids for like 7 years, we always went out of our way because we had to give each kid a gift and give each. I mean, like every kid got a little something, and
we were broke. We were young and
what was funny
dumb and had no money.
As soon as our kids were old enough to receive presents, all of a sudden somebody in the family decided our kids
we're not going to do gifts.
We're not going to do gifts for kids anymore. So it's like, wait, we just did like 15 years of gifts for your kids, but now we don't get any gifts
I don't
for
think
our
it
kids.
matters.
I don't either. But it's funny how like some families go really deep in Christmas gift giving and others don't. Like some of my best friends, I don't give anything for.
Yeah, I just give a little funny something for my good girlfriends. I
did give Ricky and Ryan a sweater one year.
Why?
Because I bought a Pendleton sweater and I really liked it. It's that gray Pendleton sweater. I was like, man, I think every guy should have one of these. So I bought them one.
Oh. Thanks for telling me.
You're welcome.
However many years later.
Yeah, but
glad you spent that money.
I don't really give gifts. I did order Tim, who I work with, a wonderful gift.
Oh my gosh!
I know. I bought him
You are such a goofball.
Anyway, I've got a friend who has a
friend.
I have a friend who she has an OnlyFans account, and she also does Instagram where she does lingerie modeling. So I ordered a calendar for Tim. That he is not.
So glad the kids did not open. Oh, what is this?
Well, it's my friend.
I don't care who it is.
The problem was she didn't know I was giving it as a gift, and she autographed it for me. So
yeah, and I'm so excited that your name is on it.
I know. So Tim's Christmas gift says, Tim's Christmas gift says, "Hi, John. Thanks so much for the support." So makes it even more special for him to have something that mentions my name.
You should just cross out his name and write Tim next to it because he knows her too.
He does. That's why I gave it to her.
Because she works with y'all.
No, but you think about the kind of gift giving. Your family kind of spirit has been resurrected in our daughter-in-law because she comes from a family.
Praise the Lord for our daughter-in-law. Yeah. She has brought the I don't know, the magic back.
Oh my gosh, that
even
loves
though
Christmas.
even though the kids are grown up, it's like the magic is back because she is so enthusiastic and loves it so much.
Well, and I mean that family loves Christmas. They love Christmas.
She loves
they love
tradition.
Christmas musicals. They watch White Christmas. They do all that kind of fun stuff. She sings. She loves presents and wrapping things.
We're gonna go Saturday to your mom's community because they're showing our favorite movie, mine and Natalie's favorite movie, White Christmas. I think Jules is going to go. We're going to have a girls' time, and we're going to watch it in their theater.
That'll be fun. Well, and if you're watching on YouTube instead of listening, I'm pointing right now to right there. See this wonderful bourbon tasting? That's a bourbon barrel stave and 4 glasses. My son's father-in-law made that for me last year.
Yeah, he's a neat little woodworker.
He's pretty incredible. You know what I gave him that year?
I don't remember.
I don't think I gave him anything. This year I ordered them Omaha steaks.
You did.
So they're getting steaks probably tomorrow.
Oh, well.
They don't listen to our
nobody's
podcast.
going to listen to it. Way to tell.
My son's in-laws have enough of us, I think.
Yeah, I don't think they need any extra stewards.
If Roland and Christine had a podcast, do you think they'd be talking about us? About how...
Man, I don't know. They might be. I'm kind of scared.
I'm scared, too. I wonder what they do think. But think about our Christmas. So when I was growing up, our family opened one present at a time. So
my mother always wanted that. Oh,
it was Aunt's turn to open a present, and then it's my mom's turn, and then it was my dad's turn, and then it was my turn, and then I had to wait. Well,
we overturned that rule at my house.
You guys did. It's like I've never seen anything. It's like going. It's like New Year's Eve confetti, the whole room, and like 10 minutes later, you guys are done, and you're like, oh, what a great Christmas, and then like everybody kind of gathers their stuff.
Yeah, and we set it all out, and we kind of look at it again. But
everybody probably has somebody like my brother. My brother could ruin Christmas because 2 things.
He would do it on purpose.
Number 1, I would be dying. Santa would have come to our house. I would wake up at like 7 a.m. I'd see all the toys. I can't wait to play with these and open presents. And he would delay himself in the bedroom forever. And David or my mom and dad would be like, come on, David. And he'd be like, hold on, I got to go to the bathroom. And then, hold on, I got to get dressed. He would like drag it out in an hour and a half. Finally, he would mosey into the room. And then we would open presents. So you had to be there and everybody would open the presents. He would always hide one. So he would always be the last guy to open the present.
Shut
Oh,
up.
no. He totally would manipulate Christmas for his own benefit. So, David, he was always slow. And then like everybody's like, okay, Christmas is over. Merry Christmas, everybody.
I love your brother,
and then he would go, hold on,
totally
I have one more.
Do.
And then we'd like, oh, great, we got to sit down and watch David open another present. He would open it slow, like, oh, I wonder what it is. And then he would tell a story in the middle of it. Like, remember that time? It's like, open your damn present. So. But in your family, your mother wanted to have that kind of Christmas.
Oh, she did.
And you guys just tore through the presents. Like,
Think about my brother now.
No, but the first time I was at your house, I'm like, wait. I couldn't keep up. Like, who gave you that? Wait. And you'd be like, open your presents. I'll be like, well, is anybody going to watch me open this present? You're like...
I think that we have taken both of those traditions from each of our family and sort of meshed them together. Like, we don't do the mom. I mean, think about it. She wanted to be called grandmother when
our kids called her
she
Theta.
became a grandma. But I mean, she wanted all of that stuff, and her expectations were just too high. I mean, Christopher, come on.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it just was not happening.
Having the Welty party on Christmas Eve was a kind of an upsetting thing to me because Christmas Eve for me was the spiritual night when you would go to church service.
And we didn't go to church on Christmas Eve.
You didn't. You had a party on Christmas Eve, but then I always would sneak away from your family to go to midnight service, either at the Methodist church or like if my sister's, it was the Catholic church, but I would always sneak off and go. My brother's
I started going with you, and then
my brother's family always went on Christmas Eve as well.
When Dad got wind that you were going to church, then he was on board. He was like, more church.
He goes, hold on, are you going to church? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, I'll go with you. So for those of you that don't know, Suzanne's father was a really talented, well-known, world-renowned kind of bass singer, and he sang in quartets and all that kind of stuff. And your dad, I mean, people who know him know the song "Blow the Trumpet" because he was like, "Blow the trumpet in Zion."
Yeah, that was his
huge, deep voice.
Yeah.
So I take him to a candlelight Methodist church in Bedford, Texas.
We just went wherever
Wherever
they had a
and
12 o'clock.
Yeah, I saw that they had a
service.
midnight service. So we did your party, and then it was in a coat and tie or whatever. Went to the church service, and your dad comes in. It's you and me and your dad. That was it. And
it was quite sweet.
It was quite. They go through the service. But the problem is your father doesn't know how to sing quietly.
Well, he literally could not.
So everybody in the church is going, "Silent night." And all of a sudden your dad, "Holy night, all is..." And he's doing this. And I remember seeing the little...
He's just singing regular. He wasn't...
The effeminate organ player back there, his head whipped around so quick. It was like...
Yeah, his antenna came up. He was like, "Where's that coming from?"
And so, like, the lights go down, the candles go up, and it's like your dad having a solo with a bunch of whispering choir members because it was "All is calm" and this whole thing. As soon as the church is over, what happens?
He made a beeline for my dad.
He ran up to your dad and said, "Oh, sir, have you ever thought about being in the choir?" It's like guy had no idea.
He thought he had hit the jackpot.
He was like, "Oh my gosh, I want this guy to be in my choir."
Yeah, well.
It was pretty great.
Dream on, brother.
And we do go to... this year is an interesting year because Christmas Eve is actually the fourth Sunday of Advent. So a lot of people who are celebrating Advent are going to go to church for the fourth Sunday of Advent, and then we'll go again for Christmas.
I like how you're setting this up because we had words about this yesterday.
No, because, Catholics are required. It's a day of obligation. Both Christmas Eve is a day of obligation, or Christmas is a day of obligation, and the fourth Sunday of Advent is a day of obligation. So
does
Catholics
it matter
have to go
when
to two
you
churches.
go, though?
Well, yeah, because they're different services.
This is what we had words about.
No, but they're different services. The
Okay.
fourth Sunday of Advent liturgy is different than Christ is born liturgy. And so both of those services, I'll go to both of those services. My mother would like to go to church on Sunday morning, but you're canceling that, and you're just saying, we're just going once on Sunday.
Yep, I'm canceling Sunday morning service, and she
So
cannot get that
if anybody talks to my mother,
straight.
don't let her know that there is actually a church service on Sunday morning that she's missing.
She can't get it straight that we're not going Sunday morning, and just because it's in her routine. But I don't. That's my big day. Like, I got to cook that whole day, and then
Christmas Eve day.
Christmas Eve, we'll go to the 7 o'clock, but that's when Natalie's singing. So she has to be there early, so we have to eat earlier and do all of the things
That I'm
earlier.
going to midnight mass. I'm serving at midnight mass.
I'm not going to run myself ragged. Do you not remember my motto for this year?
Yes, your motto.
Good enough.
Good enough. It's good enough. One service is good enough for you
One service
evangelicals.
is good enough. I mean, I'm getting what I need. It's going to be beautiful.
Is it about you?
I'm at church. I'm at church when I'm supposed to be at church.
Okay, well, I have a different feeling about obligation.
See, I lived obligation my entire life. I'm done with doing things out of obligation.
Okay, Christmas joy. So, Christmas joy. I do love Advent. And I love the preparation for getting ready for Christmas.
I do too.
And
We didn't do that when I was a kid either, and so I love that we've done that with our children.
And, like we were talking to Lyndall Cooley not too long ago. Lyndall, the most Pentecostal and a lot of kind of charismatic churches really don't do anything around Advent, and they made it a conscious decision this year to kind of focus on Advent and celebrate each Sunday preparing. But what's funny with them is because of Christmas Eve, they moved Advent up a week. So, like,
how do you move Advent up a week?
They're Pentecostals; they can do whatever they want. But
oh Lord!
But I noticed that the joy, like last Sunday, was the Sunday before. The pink candle went a week early. But hey, they're doing it. But the whole point of
last
Advent,
Sunday
though,
was pink candle.
is preparing. No, they did it a week before.
Oh,
that way they're not running into the fourth Sunday of Advent and
Christmas
Eve on the same thing.
Okay,
because they're just doing one service. But the whole spirit of Advent, I know it drives you nuts when you go into a store before. Like when people put Christmas decorations out way early, and they don't actually they just pass right over Thanksgiving. Well, I also think those are the same type of people that as soon as Christmas is over, they pack up the tree, pack up all the stuff, and clean up the house and get it out. And Advent is that season leading up to the birth of Christ, and then a lot of people don't enjoy
the 12 days of Christmas,
the Christmas season.
Yeah,
So I love the Christmas season when you can still say Merry Christmas and go to Mass, go to church, celebrate the birth of Christ for those days following Christmas. We try to leave the Christmas tree up until...
We leave the Christmas tree up because, I tell you why. We leave the Christmas tree up because if I have busted my ass to put all of this stuff up,
It's good enough.
It's not going to stay up for just 2 weeks. It's going to stay up for a while.
But we do put Christmas trees up after Thanksgiving, and then we enjoy it through the Christmas season.
Yeah, we don't do anything for Christmas until... What's the rule, babe?
I don't know.
You don't know the rule? Even Jay Daniel knows the rule.
What's the rule?
The rule is when you see Santa on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, then
that's when Christmas season begins.
That's when the Christmas season begins.
Because you believe that is the real Santa.
I do.
The one in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day
That's
Parade.
absolutely
That's
correct.
the one.
That's
Everybody else
the
are his
one.
helpers.
He has come down from the North Pole and he has done his stint on the Macy's
So
Day
what do you
Parade.
think about those families? And we might have some friends who do this. The families that convince their kids not to exchange gifts until the day that the wise men showed up when we celebrate.
Who
that
does
day.
that?
Oh my gosh, smart parents, because like
then they buy everything on
before
sale.
Amazon, yes, before Amazon, they would like have one gift for Christmas, but then super spiritual families, like these are the homeschooling families that like uber Christian, uber evangelical. They'd be like,
Oh, the three wise men gift?
yes, we don't.
get 3 gifts.
We don't want to over commercialize Christmas, so we're going to wait until the 6th of January on the day we celebrate the wise men arriving. And then we're going to give you all the presents. And then so all the post-Christmas sales, that's when the parents are buying all that stuff. Pretty smart if you think about it.
I
do
guess
have
it's
some
smart.
friends-
It would just stress me out because I would just have that much longer.
I
to worry
heard,
about
I mentioned
stuff.
Lyndall. He preached on something I actually like because I have some friends that their particular line of faith, they don't celebrate Christmas at all, because they believe everything in the Bible is true, and they say that Christmas doesn't take place during the winter.
Well, it does. I mean, it probably didn't.
And so they don't
It's just a day
celebrate
we've
Christmas.
chosen.
They don't do things like that. And Lyndall preached on this the other day, and I really liked it because he says, of course it's not this time of year. He said, and he kind of gave the history of Christmas and how it was the Catholics. At that time, it wasn't really Catholics. It was just the church before the first split. It was just the church was reclaiming pagan days and making them holy. So you had Halloween, which was a bad thing, and then the next day they would have All Saints Day, so it was the church kind of reclaiming that day, and then he talked about the pagan holiday of the winter solstice and things of that nature, and then how they made Christ Mass. They did a Mass about Christ, so that's how Christmas came about. And I think even though we know that Jesus wasn't born in a manger on December the 25th, year 000, it's wonderful to celebrate his birth. And we try to do a good. I love it when even our Jewish friends and other people celebrate Christmas, because it's an opportunity to celebrate goodness and gladness and
Joy, peace, and love.
peace,
That was
love,
my
all that
goal
kind of
this
stuff.
year.
And you've done a good job.
Yeah, we laugh about my motto being good enough this year. We've talked about it a couple times on the podcast, but there was so much more behind it than just doing everything kind of halfway. I just wanted, I wanted it to be peaceful for everybody. It's already so stressed just because of the time of year it is, for work and for everything that surrounds it, and even for weather for us because of where we live and what we do. I mean, you got to get heaters out in the tanks. You got to make sure everybody's got hay, all those things that kind of the weather changes for us. And it's just a crazy time. And I didn't want to spend the whole time losing my head about it,
I think it's important to not let things or people steal your joy during Christmas.
Yes, and I have told you on occasion, you're stealing my joy.
Well,
You need to just reel it in.
what are some things, like for me, my favorite Christmas record of all time is, because I love Advent, I think is why I love this record, is Andrew Peterson's Behold the Lamb of God.
It is fantastic.
When he first wrote that, I never dreamed in a million years that it would become a tour. This is like their 25th year doing the tour, and those guys still gather and do it. But the thing I love about the Behold the Lamb of God project, if you've not listened to it, You still have time before Christmas, but it's basically a telling of the prophecies of Jesus leading from, from the big. It's a journey through the Old Testament up to the birth of Christ, and it just sets my heart in the right direction. I can't enjoy Christmas without that. And I've heard people say that their favorite Christmas album that would get them in the mood was Big John Hall's
I knew this
Christmas
was coming.
with you on the cover holding
With my Mrs. Beasley.
Yeah. What was
I
it like?
loved her. Do you know that I cut her hair? One time I cut her hair real super short, like a crew cut, and then it was just stubbly, and I cried.
Hair doesn't grow back.
I know. Well, I didn't know it then, but then my mom told me, and I was so sad because she looked awful, but I still wagged her around.
But I did love when people would say, "Oh my gosh, I grew up with that record," and you were on the front cover, and your brother Christopher, and
He was little.
I know he was.
He was so cute. Oh, you know what is funny? When it reminds me of, because we were living in that house on Price, and I remember watching the 10 Commandments for the first time, and it seemed like they showed those, movies during Christmas. I don't know, all the biblical movies or whatever. Yep. And I cried so hard because Christopher was a little baby, and I went to my parents and I said, "Are they gonna take Christopher and kill him because he's a baby boy?" I thought they were gonna take my little brother and hurt him. Yeah.
We always listened to, and companies don't really do this anymore, but I remember growing up, we would listen to like Mitch Miller and those kind of Christmas albums. But
I don't know Mitch Miller.
Firestone used to give away a Christmas record.
Oh, that's funny.
And we would have the Firestone Christmas record.
We had Nanny. We had the what
you don't know
was
who
it?
Mitch Miller is?
The Doughboys.
No, Texas Playboys.
No. Yeah, we did have that.
Bob
but
Wills.
We did have. Because Burris Mills is where she worked, and then
they were given that
a record, yeah, and we would dance. That's where Pade taught me how to polka.
What do you know?
Polka, polka, polka.
Unbelievable. Well, we've had some. I mean, you think about it. We got married. We moved to Tennessee, and so our first Christmases were there in Tennessee with a flock tree in our little apartment. And we
only had a flock tree that first year because it was
fun
way
Christmas
too expensive.
Parties. Before we had kids, we went to fun Christmas parties.
We got fancy and wore sequins.
Yes, and I remember going to a certain friend's house that he lived in a condo, and I was like, "Wow, he lives in a condo. He doesn't have to take care of grass or anything."
It was a fancy condo.
It was a fancy condo, but and then we went from Tennessee. Then we had Oregon Christmases when we lived in Oregon. Mm-hmm. That was beautiful. Mm-hmm. I just remember being in the snow and cutting the Christmas tree down.
That was lovely. I was pregnant with J. Daniel, big pregnant because he came in February, and we had snow on Christmas Eve. And John Andrew really had never experienced snow. Mm-hmm. He was 2, and we went out and built a snowman, and that was a good Christmas.
And then our Christmases in Texas, it's when you celebrate in Texas, usually it's 60 or 70 on Christmas Day.
If you get a bike, you're riding outside in shorts. That's just the way it goes.
The big thing in Texas, and nobody does it like Texas. I know Florida wants to say they do and all this stuff, but nobody does Christmas lights in neighborhoods like Texas. And we would get in the car and just drive through neighborhood after neighborhood.
I mean, that was a whole night's activity, and each neighborhood would have a theme. And I remember, you knew that the storybook one was in this neighborhood, and the
they would have a theme of
candy cane house. Remember that house that was over by your parents when they lived in Dallas?
Oh, and Santa Claus would make an appearance.
Yeah, and it looked like a gingerbread house. It had all the candy on the outside. That was
people went all out.
Stuff.
And then I remember your mom took us one year. She goes, "Oh, we got to go to this house," and they showed us this house, and it was gorgeous, all lit up. It was beautiful, and it turned out to be the guy that owned Michael's.
Oh,
and then I was like, "Wait, isn't he Jewish?" And they're like, "Yes, but it's the best Christmas display in all of town."
He owns Michael's. He's not going to miss out on all that crafty stuff.
I guess. I saw in the news earlier this week that there's a neighborhood in Florida that one of the moms suggested that they all get the largest inflatable Santa, every house. So like 200 homes in this neighborhood, they all have the big 10-foot tall inflatable Santa in front of their house.
I'm not a big inflatables fan. I mean, I think they're cute.
Our kids do the Buc-ee's inflatable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cute, but when you grew up in the 70s and everything was like made out of wood and painted, the inflatables kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, our kids don't. They have like both though. They have the inflatable Buckies, and then they have Natalie's grandfather's painted wooden reindeer that he made, which I think is super cool.
Well, I think, so we did Texas. The Texas Christmas is great. There's nothing like New York City at Christmas time.
I don't think I've ever been to New York.
When I worked
During
there and
Christmas.
commuted to New York, I loved going by the Rockefeller Center tree. And the problem is the crowds get really big around there, so you have to go early in the morning, take a picture of the tree and things of that nature, and make it look like it's the middle of the night because the tree goes on like at 4 a.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
But the shopping, the windows, just the weather, it's just there's nothing better than New York City at Christmas time. I love it. Indiana Christmas,
Indiana Christmas has since become my favorite.
has it really?
Yeah, I love Indiana.
I do
I'm a
miss-
little
when we
bit
first
sad
moved
this
here, though,
year. It's
when
going to
we-
be like 55
I know,
on Christmas.
but when we
I
first
don't like
moved
that.
here and we discovered the Reynolds Christmas lights, Gary Reynolds and Reynolds Farm Equipment had it. Like every year they would add one new Christmas light thing. And then if you're from Indiana, you know the display that we're talking about. And then he donated all those to Conner Prairie. And so now it's part of the Conner Prairie Merry Holiday. But what a gift. Like if I had the resources just to bless the community, because there's no reason why Reynolds did that other than just to bless the community. And
they
would,
took a little donation at the end for our church food pantry, which
Yes.
was kind of neat.
Yeah, it's
You
really
know.
special. The Reynolds lights were great.
I loved it at Reynolds. You know why? Because you didn't have to get out of the car.
Yeah, you sat in
It's
the car during
gorgeous at Conner Prairie, and they have a lot more activities and everything. But you have to like get out in the cold and walk around and everything. And sometimes that's great, and sometimes you just want to drive through.
Well, and our Christmas season here in Indiana starts with when they light that. So in Indianapolis, downtown Indianapolis, around the War Memorial Monument, the IDEW, I think it is, the electrical workers.
I don't know. It's the weirdest letters. I don't know what-
IBEW, whatever it is, it's the electrical workers. They string up, and it's the tallest Christmas tree in Indiana because they string the lights up, and Monument Circle becomes a wonderful place. It's where the mailbox is to drop off.
It's
the
not
Santa's
really
letters.
a tree, though. It's just lights.
It's
that
lights.
Make
Yeah,
a tree
around the monument,
Yeah.
but it's gorgeous. And the Santa's mailbox is there. But the day after Christmas, they have the lighting of that tree.
We went one year
We
when
did.
the kids were super
and your dad
little.
was with us.
That's right.
But your dad was with us. But we had the best part about the whole thing is WTHR, our Channel 13 affiliate here in town, always has local talent. And they have a special show, which is like Indiana Idol, singing Christmas songs. And you realize just how bad the talent kind of can be.
Well, because you watch everything.
Hey, time out real quick.
What?
Remember an episode or two ago when you gave me a hard time about my phone ringing during the podcast? Somebody has their phone on mute, do not disturb, and
Nobody
off
go-
Wi-Fi. And for some
Mine was
reason,
plugged in
your
back
phone
there.
is ringing right now. Probably because my mother's calling to wonder what time you're going to pick her up today.
You know what? I guarantee you 100%.
Okay,
if
so
I
let's
go over there
wrap
and
this
look.
up. So, real
Little
quick,
John Mayer for you this morning.
no, but the best thing about Indiana Christmas is watching the tryouts for the people who get to sing at the Christmas thing, and
It is
it's
a
hysterical.
riot.
It's absolutely. They always
Because
feature
some of them are
really bad, and they
really
think they're really
bad.
good. And I
And
hope
some of them are surprisingly good.
they are. But I hope this year's Christmas. Let's talk about shopping changes real quick, because we used to wake up on Black Friday, and you would always go Black Friday shopping with Lisa or whoever,
Yeah,
and you loved getting out the deals. And we would open the paper on
Well, they were
Thanksgiving,
real
and you
deals
they were
then.
deals. You had to be there at 4 o'clock in the
You had
morning,
to
5 o'clock, and 6.
Physically
And,
go there.
and then we went through the phase where we avoided the stores that were open on Christmas or open on Thanksgiving.
You always have to have a cause.
I do.
Like
and then I
one
loved
time
when-
we couldn't eat tuna because
Excuse me, StarKist was killing all sorts of dolphins in their collection of tuna. That's why we did that at that point in time. And that was like in 1990.
I know you always got to have a cause.
Anyway, what I was going to say is, and StarKist, by the way, now has wonderful sustainability practices, so I do support them.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. But no, the Black Friday was something that you look forward to, and you did real deals, and you would come home and you'd be so excited. Look what I got for them. And I got a leather jacket for J. Daniel. Got this.
Oh yeah, I had to
This
be
year-
organized too.
This year, I don't know if anybody went Black Friday shopping. Did they?
I saw so many videos of people that were showing stores just like in Target or in, whatever. Just nobody there. But what killed me, and this I do believe was at Target. I saw several videos or posts about this, is that, how they have like a sign that says, doorbuster or
Yes.
whatever. Well, this one, like, you slid in whatever. It was a square thing, and you slid in the price. This lady went and she slid it out, and it was the exact same price.
Oh, it was.
Behind it. Yeah. Like, there were no deals. They just changed the sign to say Black Friday or doorbuster. But it's not worth the fuss anymore.
Okay, so let's end the podcast. We've been talking about Christmas for my Lord over 50 minutes, but
did we really talk about our Christmas?
Our Christmas a little bit. So let me talk about my favorite gifts of all time. What's your favorite gift of all time? Christmas gift?
That's a stumper.
So I'll tell you.
I think one of my favorite Christmas gifts, that you gave me.
First Christmas? Is this it? That very first Christmas, I was so
No, it
excited.
is not that gift, and we've already talked about this.
I was so excited to give you a bike.
Yeah, I know.
So we could ride
but,
together.
Honey, that's not it. Let me
never
talk
rode it
about
once.
the two.
Not once.
I did two. Two gifts that mean a lot to me that you got me. One, I just was extra surprised, and the other one, I love so much that I even found it this last week when I was feeling kind of down in the dumps, and I sat down and I looked at it, and it brought joy to my heart. So one year you were in the middle of job search or something. And
some years we have a lot of money for Christmas, and some years we have no money for Christmas.
And this was a year we really were stretched thin, and we decided that we wouldn't do anything for each other. We would focus on other things, and that's the year that I attempted to cross stitch for you the "I'm sorry."
I'm about to show that.
Oh, you are.
Yeah. Here we go. So you talk about one of my favorite Christmas gifts of all time. If you're watching on YouTube, you're about to see this. But Suzanne, we've been married for 34 years. And
I didn't know you had it.
Over 34 of those years, she's had a hard time saying two words. And
he thinks I've had a hard time.
The two words
I've said it plenty.
I'm sorry.
I'm not often wrong.
You usually say, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Because I'm usually right.
Oh, I'm sorry that hurt your feelings.
Because you're a big baby.
It's never so. And I always say, just say it. And you never say. And even if you do, it's in spite. I'm sorry.
You get mad not at what happened, but at the fact that I didn't
she's
say
talking
I'm sorry.
about. So she actually knit cross.
No, I didn't knit. I cross-stitched.
She cross-stitched the
It's
I'm
so
sorry.
Terrible.
And it's obviously was not done with a pattern because
it's freestyle.
That M is the biggest M I've ever seen. So it's kind of like, I'm sorry. But this sits next to my bed at night, so I can always look over. I can always look over at it and say, she did say it at one point in time in this last. But anyway,
and I said, when I gave it to you, I said, that is so bad. Every time you look at that, then you need to realize that I have said it. I have put it into something that you can physically touch and hold.
Yep.
Look at it every time you feel like I need to say I'm sorry, even though I might not say it. The sentiment will always be right. So
that's my gift. You were saying that I gave you something. What did I give you?
You gave me something. I'm sorry I didn't bring it for show and tell, but it is a little book that you made, and it says Suzanne's Affirmations.
Book of Affirmations.
Book of Affirmations on the cover, and inside on every single page, you have made a sentiment that makes me feel special.
Well, because your primary love language, even though you have all five, your primary love language is words of affirmation.
Yes.
So you have that. So you like that gift.
I love that gift. And when like I said, when I'm feeling down in the dumps, it just shows up. Like it'll just be on a desk when I'm cleaning or in a drawer or something.
That year we didn't really have much to give each other. My favorite Christmas gift, not coming from you, was from my mother.
Oh,
and my father had a great career, and then he took early retirement and was looking for another job. And I remember that year my mom said, "Honey, we can't give to you like we have in the past." And I was single, living in Los Angeles, I think at that time. And I asked my mom. I said, "Mom, that's fine. Don't give me anything. Would you mind writing me your story? Because I don't know. There were things of her past that I kind of had heard about, but I didn't know." Mm-hmm. So that Christmas, and you mentioned my mom wearing that shawl thing that I gave her. the picture that she put on that little book that she gave me was in that shawl with me that Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And what's funny is she bought a little notebook and she wrote her life story for me. And that to this day is still probably the greatest Christmas gift I ever received outside of something you've given me. Because it was my mom's story. And she shared about her upbringing in Hawaii and Pearl Harbor and all those type of things and abuse and different things. But I knew she had to relive some of that to tell me that story. But for me to understand the fabric of my mom's life was pretty precious. The other thing that was a really great gift that you gave me, one year, I was very surprised by this, and I'm pulling this out,
you
too.
are really the king of show and tell today.
Oh, hey, watch us on YouTube. You get to see all the fun stuff.
I came absolutely not prepared.
Well, first off, this is how our podcasts go. I actually prepare a little bit and write a sheet down of some things I want to make sure we cover. You just freewheel everything.
It's just so much more fun to freewheel it.
But you had this brand created for me.
I did it.
You designed it. You worked with Sarah Quinn, who kind of told you how to do it and what to do. Then you registered it with the Indiana Department of Agriculture as an equine brand. So this is an official brand, and you'll see the little branding iron that a friend of ours made. It's more of a commemorative branding iron.
This is not the one that the friend made. No, that is the real deal. That one is the commemorative one. This one was made by...
No, it's the other way around. This is the one that was over there. This is the commemorative one.
Oh, did you take that off of there?
This is the one that Kevin made. So on Christmas morning when I woke up, I had this incredible branding iron. It's very decorative, made by an artisan friend of ours who is a metal worker. And when I say metal worker, not like J. Daniel Welding, but like actual...
artist.
He does those big metal...
like he did the sculpture in Westfield.
Yes, and when you go by different office buildings, they've got some massive metal sculpture. That's what he does. Or in the roundabouts, he does all that kind of stuff. But he made that for me with the brand. You gave me the certificate that showed me the branding.
And let me just tell you that was not easy. That was hard. I didn't understand. I had to learn how to do it.
Both of these gifts. The I'm sorry cross stitch is not something you did on Christmas Eve. I mean, like typically when I go by,
it took so long.
When I go to Walgreens on Christmas Eve on the way to church service to buy the Christmas gift, I do have a brother-in-law that is known for shopping at CVS and Walgreens after all the other stores close on Christmas Eve.
Or Macy's,
and
whatever is
he
open.
He shops on Christmas Eve. I mean, that's like his big thing is he loves shopping on Christmas Eve to get all the gifts. But whatever gifts you're giving this year, I mean, I think your theme of just it's good enough, give with joy. I made your gift yesterday.
You made my gift yesterday?
I did. Tim made fun of me because he looked at me and I was over there with a little stencil and some markers. But
I'm kind of scared.
Oh, it's going to be glorious. You're going to love it. Can't wait.
It doesn't sound like what I thought it might be.
Once again, it's the gift that I actually give you, not the gift that you bought and put my name on.
But you asked me about the other gift. You know, sometimes money is tight, sometimes it's plentiful. Mm-hmm. I remember we have a small jeweler here in
we do,
Noblesville. Yeah, that's sort of family owned, and they had a ring in there that I loved ever so much, and I don't have it. I had it on a couple days ago, but took it off because I had to go somewhere yesterday. But they had a ring in there that I loved so much, and it was way out of reach for
But you would go by
time.
And look at that ring all the time.
I would go in at least once a week and put that ring on, and all the little girls that worked in there, they knew that I wanted it. There were even people that would come in because it's like one of a kind. So they would come in and they would say, "Well, we've got this one lady that's looking at it." But I mean, I'm talking not like for a week. I mean, like it was like 2.5 years that
it was
ring.
Not there that
it
long.
was there that long. I swear, hand to God. So I would go in there and I'd try it on
overpriced
all the time, but I wanted it. It spoke to me. Plus, it's just stunning. So one year, your mom and dad were here, and you can't wait. You always Christmas Eve. You can't hold it in. So you wanted me to open this, and I said, "Well, I want to wait." And I had no idea. And you said, "No, I want to open it." And your mom and dad were standing there. And I just remembered opening it, and I opened the thing and I closed it right back real quick, and I went, "Oh," And I just immediately started to cry. And I said, you got to take it back. We can't afford it. He said, no, it's already paid for. And I don't know if I took that ring off for days and days. I mean, in fact, it came loose and I took it in to be serviced. And the lady said, she goes, you're not supposed to wear this every day. This is a ring you put on and you put away. And she knew what I did for a living. She knew that she goes, you're not wearing that out in the barn, are you? And I'm like,
How funny.
Well, maybe sometimes. If you don't wear something that you love, why have
First
it?
off, Suzanne does do that. I remember one time you were pulling a goat and
I was birthing a goat.
You're birthing a goat. Your hands are around this goat and I take a picture and your mom is noticing, wait, you're wearing like your Neiman Marcus jewelry.
She was like, is that John Hardy bracelet? Why are you wearing that when your hand is up in a goat?
That lady knows what you were doing with that ring. Okay, so here's your Christmas present, but we can put that under the
he
tree.
Can't wait. What? You brought, look at this.
What, do you want to open it right now? Go ahead and open it right now. I mean, it's Christmas.
On the podcast?
Sure, go ahead. Open your Christmas present.
I don't think that's very fair.
Go ahead, open your Christmas present. Let's see what you think.
I don't think that's very fair.
Well, in the podcast, with you opening your Christmas present. This is your Christmas present.
This is?
That is your Christmas present. Go ahead. That's the one from me.
Only the stuff under the tree that I wrapped for myself.
You get to open on that day. So go ahead and open your Christmas present.
Well, now I know all my presents. I'm not even going to be surprised.
You don't really know all your presents, but we'll see. This is your big Christmas present.
Look, you made me a card.
Okay, for those of you on YouTube, you can see the pretty Hawaiian flowers that I colored with my own marker, and it says 2023 Merry Christmas. Look, you love that.
Did you get me John Mayer for Christmas?
No, I did not get you John Mayer or John Hamm. I got you something.
Suze, you're my favorite.
You are my favorite. But we are doing an experience this year. Actually, not we. You may not take me on this. You might take J. Daniel or somebody else. But there you go. So Merry Christmas.
All of these?
I got all 4 of those tickets one weekend.
Shut up. This is speaking right to my comedic loving heart.
That's good. So Suzanne is showing you her Christmas gift is Netflix is a joke festival. So on Thursday evening, you're going to go see Jerry Seinfeld, Jim Gaffigan, Nate Bargatze, and Sebastian Maniscalco. I don't know him.
Maniscalco. Oh, yeah.
So that's Thursday night. Friday, you're going to go see Tom Papa. Saturday, you get to see Leanne Morgan.
And John Mulaney?
Yes. Well, Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock is Leanne Morgan, and at 7 o'clock at night is John Mulaney. So
holy cow.
So you're going to have the weekend of
at the Hollywood Bowl.
At the some were at the Hollywood Bowl, some were at different theaters, but the Netflix
the Seinfeld Gaffigan
that's at Hollywood Bowl. The next
they're all
yeah. So when you know your love language,
oh, honey, yeah. I'm so excited. Look, y'all.
Yeah, so she's happy. So now, Suzanne, okay, this does remind me, though, of when my mother saved the money and gave my dad the trip to Antarctica, because my dad had been on every continent except for Antarctica. Me too, actually. That's the last continent I need to go to. And so my mom gave my dad a trip to Antarctica.
You couldn't wait to give it to me.
Well, it's your gift. But my mom couldn't wait to give my dad this trip to Antarctica. And he opens it and he goes, oh my gosh, my friend Gus and I are going to have a great time. So she bought the trip, and then he invited somebody else. And so when I was talking to about this with Liz, she was like, oh, I wonder who she's going to take. So J. Daniel, maybe, a girlfriend, maybe, your husband, maybe. You get to decide what you do.
Gosh, that's kind of mean.
Well, you're going on a cruise.
To make me decide.
I know, but it's yours. You're going on a cruise with your daughter in February, so maybe
I am.
So you'll figure it out. But if you want to go to the Netflix comedy festival, you can be really nice to Suzanne because she's got tickets now, or maybe you can just go with her. So, all right, that's it for our Christmas special. Our next special, by the way, I'm going to try not to ruin Christmas this year. Last year, I missed the Christmas service at church, if you remember, because I invited some guy at the bar to come
that was year before last.
Was it year before last?
Year before last.
Yeah. We were at a bar and we're sitting next to this guy who...
So that was the Christmas that we decided... Like, I invited a friend that was by herself, and I wanted her to come. But we all love her. So that was
She's
an
awesome.
Easy... Yeah. That was like not a big deal. But it was a Christmas where we thought we were going to extend and say, come and be a part of our tradition. And she was an easy target.
She was
and
an
then
easy target.
you come home and say, don't be mad.
Yeah,
But I've
some guy to
invited
bar.
someone to Christmas Eve dinner, and I was like,
He was kind of sketch. I think
he was super sketch.
I think we may have lost some of our silverware that night.
Yeah,
but
you brought him to the house. He was not. He came late.
he did. He showed
He
up
came
late.
like an hour late.
It was longer than that. It was like 2 hours late. But
We ate.
And then I think I followed him back to his place. His car didn't quite make it home. But anyway, long story short, don't let anybody steal your joy this Christmas. Join us on our next episode. Our next episode, Suzanne, guess what it's going to be?
I'm always surprised.
Well, one of us, because we're going into the new year, and one of us has goals, sets goals at Christmas or for New Year's, and some don't. So we're going to be talking about goals and New Year's resolutions and all kinds of fun stuff.
You do
like
that. I do not.
So you're going ahead and just telling everybody right now?
Yeah,
what
I
it is?
am not the one that sets, New Year's resolutions.
Okay, well,
I
join
gave up
us
on
when
that.
we talk on our next episode about New Year's resolutions, goals, and priorities. I love you.
I love you. I can't believe
Merry
you gave
Christmas.
me this. I can't believe you gave it to me on the podcast.
Well, there you go. Want to go make out? It is Christmas.
I guess.
Bye.